Hi, everyone. So I thought I'd talk to you guys a bit about. I'm gonna kind of reboot my series, and at the end of this, I'll probably I'll talk about kind of why, and I'm also going to be giving you guys a BitChute link. We'll talk more about that later. But anyway, let's just jump into it. So one of the most important things when you're starting to learn how to draw is not. It's like if I were to show you how to about learning to drive, for instance. So if you're going to learn how to drive, the most important thing is not, how much to steer the steering wheel or how to start the thing up or where the gas and the brake are, or like those things are all secondary to knowing where you want the car to go. And that means, having to look out your windshield and actually, like, number one, knowing where your destination is, knowing the rules of the road, looking out your windshield and knowing where the other cars and pedestrians and obstacles are, and knowing, where the road lines are, and just those sorts of things are more important. It's your observational skills and knowing what you want to do with the car that are more important, or they're the first things you should know. I wouldn't say they're more important than knowing how to steer the car or knowing how to operate the car, but these things come before the operating of the car. So when it comes to learning how to draw, the most important thing that you got to know is not about line quality, not about style. It's not about, a lot of these other things. It's about knowing where to put the lines. So before you worry about how to make the lines look nice, you got to know where those lines should go. I'm just adjusting my workflow, my workspace. Here we are. Okay. So one of the problems is that when you look at a flat piece of paper, it looks like a flat piece of paper and the drawing looks flat to you. It looks two-dimensional. So the most important thing is that when you're drawing three-dimensional subject matter, my goodness, what the heck, Windows? Sorry about that. Let me turn that volume all the way down. When you're working with something like this, you've got to be able to look into the canvas. And I'm going to show you there. I'm going to show you an optical illusion. This is known as wiggle stereoscopy. It's 3D without needing any 3D glasses. And what this optical illusion is doing is it is forcefully getting you to see a 3D optical illusion where you're looking into the page. And incidentally, this sensation, there's a way that you feel things, a way that you're perceiving things, there's a perception that you're gaining. You're forcefully being exposed to the sensation of what it's like when I look at a piece of paper, meaning that whenever I draw, I have this sensation of being able to look back into the image and say, hey, look, that person, or that thing, like that wall way back there, I think that's just an electrical box, way back, that thing's way off in the distance, and I can feel like the alligator's really, really close up, and the baby's actually even just a little bit closer. There's this feeling of proximity that you get when you look at this image. It forcefully gives it to you. So how about if let me just fire up Light Shot, and I'm just going to grab a still image of this. So you know what this feels like when it's feeling all 3D-ish. And now I'm going to take a still of that. Now, most important thing, like I said, is when it comes to driving, you got to know how to read the road. You got to know how to read the road signs. You got to be able to look at other cars and know, hey, is my car going to be able to, is my car going to be able to make it? Am I going to be able to pull in here? And am I not going to collide with that other vehicle? And, is that other driver paying attention? There's a lot of observation that goes along. And so when it comes to looking at a photograph, we're not drawing here. We're just learning how to use our eyes properly. And so if you're going to draw things in real life, you got to be able to analyze things. And so we're going to take an approach that is very similar to what 3D computers, or whenever you're doing 3D computer software, is going to be able to do. So one of these things that you're going to do is, I'm not going to zoom in on this thing. I'm not gonna like zoom out that far, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just position this thing, and you can shut one of your eyes, because the thing is that the wiggle stereoscopy makes things look 3D. It's providing enough information for two eyes, but if you only have a still image like this, the first thing you got to do is you got to be able to get that feeling right back, and you know what that feeling is like. So you're gonna have to shut one of your eyes and maybe blur out your vision just a little bit. Don't focus on it too hard, and you're gonna have to position your head so it's right on top of like the center of this image. Right, want to get your eye positioned right over that. And you're also going to maybe have to find the right distance. Your head's going to have to be the correct distance away, or you might have to zoom. Zooming the images is the same thing as getting closer. But once you get that feeling of things popping up and becoming three-dimensional like beforehand, then, and if you're getting tired of squinting, then wear an eye patch or something like that. Then you can start thinking, okay, so I'm going to start turning this into a 3D model. I'm going to start gridding this whole alligator off. So this is a way of working with training wheels, is you're going to find a way that you can see how I'm gradually turning this thing into what looks like a hand-drawn 3D model. Now, I know some of you are going to say, oh, yeah, that's real easy. Oh, I understand exactly what Mark's doing, blah, blah, blah. I know how to do this, and I'm going to be a lazy bum and not actually do the exercise later. And let me just tell you something, okay? When it comes to advice that is given to you by me or by someone amazing like Kim Jong-gi, or doesn't matter who the information comes from, doesn't matter who you heard it from, you don't know jack shit until you can actually do it yourself, until you take that advice and you actually apply it and you do it. You don't know it, you just don't know it. So this is something where we're going to take a photograph and try to understand what we're looking at, right? And you're going to do this not on just the alligator. Oh no. I mean, there's still the ground, right? You can still look at the ground and you can start figuring out, okay, let's turn this whole thing into a tile wireframe, and right, this means that you're having to understand the perspective of this. And again, don't try to do it with lots of don't try to do one whole long line. Right, because I accidentally grabbed the edge of my canvas, and don't move the canvas, right? You're just going to have to be able to say, all right, that's where I think that corner is, and you're just going to have to divvy the whole thing up until you, trying not to move my canvas around because that throws off my perception. But you're going to want to divide the whole thing up and make it look like a grid. And when you look at the layer, it's like, hey, you can kind of sense, well, at least I can kind of sense that, get the geometry of things. Don't just trace the outline of things. Get the mesh. You want it to look like a three-dimensional mesh. And don't just think of it as like, oh, I'm just going to draw a grid like this, right? You can see how this is a shitty grid. You can tell how this is a better grid because it's more rounded, right? A lot of people screw this part up, right? It's like there's a difference between, like, you can see how this grid here right, much more rounded. You got to get that feeling where it starts to bulge outwards. And again, it's not about trying to do big long lines, and work on the house. Again, this should not be just some tracing copy. You've got to analyze. You got to analyze things. So get a grid mesh over everything. And if you've ever seen a 3D wireframe before, right? So in this case, we can see that, this goes inwards a bit. That goes up, then goes across. Right? You can see how I'm dividing all that up into a 3D mesh. This is what you got to be able to do. This is your homework. Yeah, that's right. Homework. You actually have to do this stuff. Don't just say, "Oh, I know, what I'm looking at and I can do it." Don't just watch me doing it. It's like if I do some beatboxing. Okay, now you do it. You're so smart. Let's see you do it. And then you'll probably be all out of rhythm. You'll all be like, and like it'll be all out of rhythm. So yeah, you don't know something just because you saw someone skilled do it. Just because someone skilled showed you how to do the thing. You don't know shit until you can do it. You don't know it until you can do it. So that's your exercise. That's what you should do. Is you should find some 3D wiggle stereoscopy images, take a screen cap of them as a still image, and then mesh them. Like actually get them to look like a 3D wireframe. So if we actually go here and we find 3D wireframe, right? You can see how these are constructed, and there's like all. You should be doing the same thing. Be getting them to look really dimensional, and try to go for something like a quad mesh, not a triangle mesh, quad mesh. Okay, that's your homework. So this is how you get started with drawing. So first you start with the wiggle GIF. The wiggle GIF gives you the feeling of perspective. Then you work on it as a still, and you try and understand that three-dimensional meshing. And don't worry, we'll get to a part where you eventually work without working on top of a photograph. Okay, so now that's the end of that. Let's talk about what's going on with YouTube. So I don't know. I've just been looking. I've been getting tired of YouTube with its algorithms and knowing how the trending page is just a joke. And there just seems to be this shift that's very anti-creator recently, and they're coming out with all these kinds of crazy ass new guidelines. And I mean, we knew this was coming. So yeah, I don't know how much longer my channel's going to be, because going to be around just because I got a lot of videos, and I'm not going to go through all of them and hide or censor or get rid of them, and I'm too stubborn to change. So I have a BitChute account. My username is MoteDD, so you can find me on BitChute now. And yeah, I guess if YouTube decides to nuke my channel, then that's where it's going to be. In any case, I think man, I don't know. It's like just things sure are changing. So I figure I should at least have some insurance. And so yeah, I'm going to be on BitChute. It's going to be there it is, BitChute/channel/MoteDD. And yeah, I'm just going to be putting up my videos here. So I'll talk to you later. I don't know what they say. Comment, like, and subscribe. Smash that bell. Okay, talk to you later. Bye.